Good morning, everyone. Oh, I didn't have that on auto switch to next scene, so it didn't automatically transition us. Technology errors, technology issues for the morning. Hello, Melissa. How are
Hello.
you? Welcome, everyone, to a rebranded show name, which is our Centered America feet banner and backbone discussion that we have. It's just Melissa and I today, right now. But our new discussion channel, or new show title, as I'm putting out, is The Window of Discussion. Um, because we talk a lot about the shifting window and the Overton window and how we discuss things in politics and organize. Um, and so I figured it sort of hit the heart of what we were really talking about here compared to what it used to be. Um, so, welcome, Melissa. Welcome to the window of discussion
Hello.
today. It's great to see you. How are you?
A little bit frustrated. Alive about that. So we're gonna discuss that. When
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah,
grassroots organizing, it can feel like one step forward.
totally agree. Um, and so let's sort of get into what we learned yesterday. And before we get into our Feeding and Supporting America discussion overall, but this fits in with it, is supporting America and how we support movements and how we know that we're supporting movements in like positive ways and we're supporting positive movements overall. Um, sorry, is we both Melissa and I were informed from a very trusted friend and source that one of the groups that um, participate or has associated itself with refuse fascism in the past um, is one that we do not want to be a part of or associate with here at Banner and Backbone. Um, Melissa, can you go into it a little bit of what we found out? And then we can just talk back and forth about why it's important that we know these things and then how we can maybe move forward and what some of our options might look like with a group like Refuse Fascism. Um,
Yes.
and is there anything we can
So
do?
the group that has been the central point of organizing the sustained resistance movement in DC, that really launched that energy in that campaign is Refuse Fascism. So um, I contacted them. I looked over their website. I clicked through their entire website and got a good feel, what I thought was a good feel for the organization. And so I went up there and joined them in DC last Wednesday for the kickoff event, November 5th, to kick off the sustained resistance movement. We were notified last night that this organization spun off of the Revolutionary Communist Party. And as I've done some more reading this morning, it appears that what happened was at in the first Trump administration, at the very beginning of the first Trump administration, the Revolutionary Communist Party called for a coalition, an organization, a coalition of grassroots organizations, and out of that call spawned Refuse Fascism. And so Refuse Fascism was responsible for a lot of the protests that happened in DC during the first Trump administration. And so fast forward to today, and that connection is not widely available. It's not publicized on their website. It is not anywhere in the materials that I read. And further, when I joined the planning call, or the sort of the onboarding process for being a partner with Refuse Fascism, that was not revealed to me. And that's my biggest hang up with the whole situation. It appears at this point in time they are not affiliated with the RCP at this point. They spawned off of that in the beginning, and they've been operating as a separate entity. But even the tie of that sort of where they were birthed from, I feel like should be revealed in total transparency with, especially with an oncoming partner. This is the kind of shit that can get you on a list. And I mean, I'm probably already on a, a list, to be honest,
Yeah.
but I don't want to guide my followers and my readers into supporting an organization that may get them on a list. So I've
Yeah.
reached out to the organizers at Refuse Fascism to ask for clarification on their current stance on RCP, their current relationship with them, if there is one. So I just asked for total clarification across the board to whether or not I'm going to engage with them at all going forward. I will say a couple things. The planning call and the event were utterly committed to professionalism and nonviolence. Refuse Fascism has written their own creed after they spun off of that call with the RCP. They did write their own creed, which they abide by, which is ultimate committed to nonviolent resistance and following the constitutional guidelines for appropriate redress of government. When I was on the ground with them and a provocateur attempted to start a situation, the planners were there on top of him. They not only sort of dissipated that situation, they protected that person from anything happening to them. So my experience with them on the ground was utter professionalism and commitment to nonviolence. However, we have to be cautious of who these groups are connected to. So I'll know more if and when I hear back from them.
Okay. Thank you for doing all this incredible work on this and investigating into it because, like I said, it's super important that we know these types of connections. And if organizations are birthed from radical movements and radical organizations, we want to know that. And even if they're not as radical, and yes, there's like there is a difference between refuse fascism and their original ties, but that's something you should very openly and like freely be willing to tell the people who are coming on. And it follows the Graham Plattner model. It follows the Donald Trump model, the fascist model, or just in general, the model of lack of transparency. And lack of
Right.
transparency leads to confusion and misunderstanding. And that confusion and misunderstanding in a time like now leads to Melissa or I or our friends being put on a terrorist watch list when we're not in any way, shape, or form associated with those people. And when I get good information from a friend who said, and a trusted friend that says, you should look into this because the Revolutionary Communist Party is a bad thing and is on the bad guy list, I trust that person fully when they say that the um, that the Revolutionary Communist Group is a bad idea. I'm not part of that. I don't believe in that. I believe
They
in the
engage,
Constitution and our system.
right, and they engage in the type of activist activities that I stay away from, and those are intentional, what we call push to arrest actions or directly inflammatory actions to get those videos, those photographs of being arrested, being dragged away by police. A lot of that is an intentional action on the part of an activist. I know people who do that type of work, and I won't necessarily say that there's no value to that type of work, particularly once you reach a certain point.
Yeah,
Sometimes that there is value in that as there's value in all types of grassroots activism. I myself have stayed away from that and do not typically participate. I think the only times that I've been with an organization that did a direct push to arrest action was a local event here in Norfolk. And it was a very planned and controlled scenario. No one got hurt, but it's not the type of thing I typically engage in, because the danger to the activist is it becomes a volatile situation very,
Yeah.
very quickly, and people get hurt. And I'm never going to organize something inviting people to come get hurt.
Yeah.
That's the type of events that RCP has been affiliated with. They've been affiliated with oil pipeline blockades. They've been affiliated with things that border very closely to acts of violence. So I don't, I don't jive with that at all. I believe in nonviolent resistance. I'm a follower of Martin Luther King, and that's always going to be my go-to, is nonviolent resistance.
Agreed. Yeah. And so we do not believe in the Revolutionary Communist Party message or their organization or their activities. We
Right.
do believe in the good that Refuse Fascism is currently doing right now. And
Right.
I will say, until I will push myself back from them because I'm not affiliated in any way with them at all right now. Anyway, but I won't positively or negatively discuss them other than through factual information until we know more. Like
Right.
until they've proven themselves trustworthy, like we have to always question and always be willing to ask, is this really too good to be true? And yeah, it sucks that they're the only ones currently organizing like sustained sit-in efforts in DC. But what that tells me is that we have an audience of folks who listen to our work and what we do here. Melissa has an incredible audience who follows her and does what she does. You are the backbone that pushes back against this type of movement, and you're the backbone that then organizes it and
Right.
says, we want to be the ones organizing this sustained sit-in effort instead of a communist revolutionary party that wants to overthrow a democratic republic. Like
Right.
groups like this, also groups like the revolutionary communist groups, you have to be careful about ties to Russia and things
Mhm.
like that, because fringe groups on both the left and the right, specifically the right more so, but on the left as well, tend to be paid for through disinformation campaigns and propaganda campaigns through the KGB in Russia. So
Right.
you like we have to be careful with those groups, and so if nobody else is doing it, we then become the group that does it, and we organize and we center this discussion and we move the window of discussion back into somewhere that's real. And I know today we don't have the Centered America guys with us, but I want to make sure that we're living up to the values that they promote too, because they're willing to work with us and put their name on the things that we are working on here. And we advocate for peaceful, progressive, patriotic values, pro people
Right.
powered values,
Yes.
and people powered populism that believes in democracy and a grand republic that we can actually have, that actually lives up to the dream.
So
And that is not through the Communist Party. I'll
I
be clear,
don't
that's
want
not through communism.
I don't want anyone feeling dismal or like we don't have options. There is another group, the Removal Coalition, and they are at removetheregime.com. And if you look at the organization, this is essentially a conglomerate of a lot of 5051 chapters and a lot of indivisible chapters. They are, as well as a couple of local DC grassroots organizations. They're the ones that are organizing the 3-day extended rally starting November 20th to the 22nd. Al Green is going to be leading a march. The Dropkick Murphys are going to be playing on that Saturday. So that is, if we can drop that link in the chat.
Yeah,
Hold
I'll
on.
drop it in the chat. I also just put a QR code up in the top left corner of everyone's screen. If you're able to scan it, please try to do so, but I'll drop it in the chat. So if you're on Substack, you can see it. And then I'll put it into the chat for YouTube and Twitch as well.
Right. So I'm going to stay on top of all of these organizations that I'm suggesting that people go support. And there has to be a place for people who want to go to DC and activities for them to participate in. It's not feasible for each of us to just decide to go to DC and have our own piece of poster board and stand there. And so it's very frustrating that one of the only organizations that is on the ground doing this type of work has these dubious ties. And I'm going to be honest, I hope I get an email back from their leadership saying we have cut ties with that entity altogether. But I would also push back with them then they need to publicize that. They need to make that very abundantly clear on their website and on all of their marketing materials so that Americans know who they are working with when they travel to DC to do what we're asking them to do, which is to come in person and present a sustained presence in DC.
Yeah, because the last thing I would ever want to be responsible for, too, is encouraging people to go support an effort and then they become labeled as terrorists. Like,
right.
Literally the last thing that I would ever want to do is get somebody labeled as a terrorist who definitely is not and who is just doing their civic duty.
Right.
And we're already all at the risk of being labeled as terrorists. Like, I'm going to put that in air quotes because Stephen Miller, you can suck a fuck however you would do that, but you can do that. You can try because we're not terrorists. Pro-democracy and standing up for the Constitution and living up to our oaths and the values that we swore to is not terrorism. That's patriotism. Right. You're confusing terrorism with what you do, Mr. Miller. You're a piece of shit who terrorizes people through fear. Right. I inspire people through joy and provide information that gives you power and knowledge so you can use that and make informed decisions. We're not the same.
I don't know if you saw the video.
I might have a shaved-ish head, but I look better.
I don't know if you saw the video of Stephen Miller having a total meltdown when a reporter from South America was just attempting to ask him one question. And in the process, and the reporter just kept asking the same question over and over. And he had a total, at the end of it, he's screeching at the top of his he never answered the one question, but he pivoted here and pivoted there and got himself so worked up that he was just screaming and spittle flying. Like, dear God, man, you have no self-control whatsoever, and you still didn't answer the guy's question. I mean, it was one simple question, but it was just watching
so on point for him.
Meltdown is insane.
Yeah, like I talk about this a lot in some of my other shows, is masculinity and how men should behave and like what a model of manlyhood can and would be or might be. Stephen Miller is not. Like, if you want to know what a man looks like, look at Stephen Miller and go, do everything opposite. Because he is the most beta piece of shit I have ever seen. He's a whiny baby. He is a piece of crap who thinks he's a bully, but is just has a bully pulpit. He is the smallest human being who could ever live. Like, aside from Donald Trump and some of the other gigantic pieces of shit around him, Stephen Miller is one of the smallest human beings out there, and he should be reminded of that daily. And that's why we talk about like this window of discussion and how we discuss things. And Walter Ryan and I talk about this a lot too, is how we frame things in progressive values. And like, not hiding or couching our language when we talk about people like couch fucker JD Vance, allegedly. And that's probably why Usha doesn't put him on the couch when she's mad at him during this semi-divorce process when he's cheating on her with Erica Kirk. Just
Yeah.
a theory, because she doesn't want him fucking the couch because he'd enjoy it. Like, so she doesn't know what else to do with him. But like, we need to talk about these people and demean them. Like, these people stand up only to a presence of what they perceive as masculinity.
Right.
We can make it less toxic while still using the same rage and aggression or emotional response that they rely on. Sorry, as my foot slips and I almost fall over. Is talk down to them. Stop talking to them like they're big and bad and bullies. Start
Yeah.
talking down to them. You're punching up when you talk
And
down to people like
and
this.
laughing, like,
How
they
are
should
you?
just be laughed at. Like, the reporter,
Yeah,
that's what was so funny, is that the reporter started laughing, and then his camera crew started laughing because this little bald man was having a total meltdown over one question, and he just kept asking the same okay, but, and kept asking the same question. And he was losing it to the point where everybody around was laughing. Nobody was intimidated. Nobody was
no,
cowering in fear over this little man losing his shit. They were all laughing at him. And I think Democrats and leftists and all of us that aren't MAGA need to just embrace the laugh and laugh at them. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
like, imagine the press room in the White House if Carolyn Levitt starts with her bullshit and starts, just rattling off lies, and everyone just started laughing, and they just laughed at her. I
I
mean,
really
she
want
would
to figure
lose her
out
shit
how
too.
we.
She
I want to figure out how we can get you a press badge for the White House
would,
press corps under Banner and Backbone,
that would
just
last
so that
one
you
day.
could sit there and just laugh. That's all I want. I want I want you to just sit there and laugh at every single thing that comes out of their mouth. Like, that's literally that's what we have to do. How do you
Yeah,
counter how do you counter fascism, which in reality
you laugh at them.
the overarching ideal of fascism is oppression and sadness. They want you to be oppressed and sad because then you're not going to resist. So how do you fight back against oppression and sadness? You go out with more joy than they can ever imagine. And part of that joy is making fun of the fascists for being fascists because their idea sucks. It's a bad idea. It's outside the window of tolerance. It is outside normal. It's outside the social contract of what would be considered normal, humane discussion
Right.
because people are people. People deserve rights, and your ideas suck when you want to take them away and you're pro death. Like, I'm not
And
going to
it's
argue with you. I'm
also
not going to talk about it.
just holding them accountable for their behavior, in that, like, I'm totally amazed that, being someone from the journalism world, what it takes to get to that point in your career where you are sitting in the White House press room, and for to ask this person a question, a serious question, a common sense question, a question that the American people have a right to know, and that person saying your mom as an answer, in that moment, I would lose my shit. And I would say, whoa, absolutely not. You're not going to talk to me that way. You're not going to answer me like a child. I've worked 20 years to get to this seat. I'm asking a question on behalf of the American people, and you can act like an adult for 30 seconds to answer that question. And that's totally bonkers to me that no one is standing up to them in these very simple, common sense ways. Every time they start having a meltdown, say, hey, stop acting like a child and answer the question. Hey, can you stop acting like a child? We're all adults in this room. So can you simply answer the question and do your job so I can do my job and we can all move on with this day? But I asked you a question on behalf of the American people, and it's your job to answer that question.
Yeah, and you're going
So,
to answer me until I'm not going to stop asking until you answer my question. And really, the next step then is the next person who they go ask a question to has to also be willing to go, I'm not going to ask my
answer that
question. You
question.
haven't answered hers yet.
Right.
And
Right.
you just keep going back to that. Because if All it takes is a little bit of press collaboration with each other, like,
Yes.
hey, our institution is being destroyed. We're being made to look like fools. Our life's work is being undermined. Maybe we should stand up for ourselves a little bit. And if they
Right.
just did that, the whole world would literally change because
Yeah.
we would mock these people incessantly. They did it to Biden. They're willing
Yes.
to do shit like that to people who are for democracy. Why won't they do it for people who are against democracy? Like,
And they're
I
all
I
acting
res-
like children. They're going to continue acting badly until their hand is
Mhm.
slapped and they are stopped from acting badly. And they're just becoming more and more egregious with how they speak to people, how they speak to seated senators and congressmen when they are in deposition, sworn
Mhm.
deposition in front of Congress or Senate, the way they speak to them. I don't understand fundamentally why these senators and congressmen haven't said, we are shutting this down until you behave appropriately. We are not moving ahead with this hearing until you behave like an adult. You have been appointed to a position that is a very highly responsible position. So until you can answer a question like an adult, nobody's going anywhere and we're not proceeding with this hearing. Like, I think that these senators and congressmen forget that they have that power. And when they laugh and joke, and when Kash Patel and Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi are so combative and so disrespectful, there needs to be an immediate stop. We are not proceeding until you collect yourself and act like an adult. And all of
Yeah,
us will sit here and wait for you to act your age and act your position. So we can sit here until you decide to behave.
yeah. And one of those things I see a comment from our good one of our good friends in the chat is be moms, make them behave.
Yeah,
Also, be dads, make them
yeah,
behave too. Dads out there, stop being a bunch of pushovers. Stop being a bunch
right.
of weak testicled men who can't stand up for what is right. Like, have a little cojones, have some balls, bro. Like,
Yeah,
go be out there, talk big, talk tough. You do it. Go stand up. Words meet actions, and your actions are not resonating. Democratic Party,
no,
Democratic senators who abandoned Americans, and then centrists who are demanding that we accept the win of people going back to work and getting food and SNAP benefits. Guess what? That was the status quo before the shutdown. That wasn't a win. That was just the status quo. We
right.
lost because the ACA didn't get its funding restored. So, no, we didn't win. The
Right.
Democratic senators lost
And
on
now they're going to
purpose,
yank
too.
in
On
abortion
purpose,
rights.
too.
Yep. I think now they're yanking in abortion rights, and they're going to
Yep.
make us trade abortion rights for healthcare.
Yep. And I actually wanted to bring that up because the Centered America guys, Gavin and Sharon, put an article out about this yesterday, and they talked about that little addition that got slipped in there about the ACA is they're now going to use it as the opportunity to restrict abortions nationally and get
Yep.
rid of ACA coverage around abortions, which they piloted through CHAMP VA and the VA healthcare system, which Melissa and I talked about was going to happen
Yep.
weeks ago. We
Mhm.
said this weeks ago that if they're going to do this to the veterans, they're going to do it to everybody else.
Yep.
And guess what? They are. They are. They want to control women. This is a religious war.
Mhm.
And the sooner people in this country realize we are actively in an information war and we are losing on the pro democracy side because we refuse to admit we're at war.
Right.
And the Christo fascists and the anti democracy coalition are winning, backed by Russia and other superpowers. And so, if you want to do something, start talking about this stuff, start reminding people of all of this stuff. Is that they piloted it through the VA and nobody cared, and Champ VA and nobody cared. Not enough people cared. We
Right.
tried, not enough people cared though. So we are too nice, but this is where we differ from groups like the um, Revolutionary Communist Party. The Revolutionary Communist Party would want to overthrow the government and dismantle the system and turn it into a communistic economy. I don't want that.
You don't want
I
that.
want democratic socialism. I want nice things that we all pay for. I want the Democratic Party to stop throttling people like Jasmine Crockett or AOC or um, what's her name? Madeline, is it Madeline Salisbury? Um, I don't remember if that's her first name. Um, but like,
It does start with an M.
but these
Mark.
people who are coming out and talking aggressively and progressive policy who are getting shut down because the as I said on Dana and Lawrence's show earlier today, just before this, was the corporate Democrats are just fascist light. They just want the regressive Republican Party wants fascism now. The
Yes.
corporate Democratic Party group of the party wants fascism later, but they still want fascism because they're all backed by techno fascists. They're all
Yes.
backed by the same APAC. They're all backed by the same groups. It's just fascism now or fascism later. And both
Yes.
groups keep telling all of us. And that's where I don't get where people, this is why we need people to see the impacts of things and feel it, because the people need to come together and coalesce and remember that the only opinion that is being silenced truly in this country are progressive ideals. That's it. Every other opinion
I feel
is
like there
being
has to be a true awakening and acceptance that this is the way that the left is going. The progressive ticket just had a blue tsunami. We have Mamdani, a Muslim Democratic Socialist, is going to be the next mayor of New York. And this is completely anecdotal, but we have two groups that meet in Norfolk. We have the Democratic Party that meets twice a month, and we have the Democratic Socialists that meet every Monday. And I go to both of those from time to time. And the Democratic Party meetings are about a solid core group of about 15 people that are all, I would say, over the age of 55 at least, probably older than that. And the Democratic Socialist is a group of 30, 40, 50, depending on the day. And they are a wide range of ages and racists. And because the Democratic meeting is 100% old, rich white people, that's the
Mhm.
entire Democratic Party that meets in Norfolk, Virginia, is old, rich white people. And then you go to the Democratic Socialist meeting, and all of a sudden you see this beautiful diversity, and you see the queer people, and you see the brown and black people, and you see much, much younger people becoming involved in politics at those Democratic Socialist meetings. This is the future. This is the
Yeah.
future of what progressives want. They are demonstrating that with we are demonstrating that with our vote. We are demonstrating that with the meetings that we are choosing to go and spend our time at. And the thing about those two groups in Norfolk is that they never work together. The
Yeah.
Democratic Party runs from any participation with the Democratic Socialist group. They refuse to engage with them, they refuse to do anything with them. So, I mean, I guess y'all are going to have to die out. I don't know what to tell you, but we are
Yeah.
speaking with our votes. We are speaking out. We are letting you know with the massive tidal support of candidates like Mamdani. We're letting you know what we
Mhm.
want.
Yeah.
Oh, listen.
And we need to be willing to say the thing socialist. We need to be able to use the word. We need to be able to say it very like clearly what it is. It's an economic system that actually helps people. Like it provides social services. It it's exactly what our corporate America gets. Literally corporate America and what rich people get. If you want the same benefits that rich people in Congress get, that's socialism.
Yeah.
So there
With
you go.
cushy
That's it.
healthcare.
That's easiest definition. If you want what they have, we want what they have. We want food security. We want basic needs met. We want our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those basic fundamental needs where we feel safe We have food, we have housing, we have healthcare. We've been convinced in this country by both the regressive Republican Party and the centrist Democratic wing that we can't have nice things and that we have to water everything down to meet in the middle for fascists. It's never meet in the middle to the progressives. It's always meet in the middle to the fascists. Why is that? Well, there has to be a wing of a party that's currently in power that is doing that and enabling it. And that happens to be a lot of what's in the old Democratic establishment.
Right.
And what I'm talking about, and for now, anyways, is yes, we do want a third party. I want a fourth party. I want a fifth party. I want a sixth party. I want all of that. But the first step
And
getting there is take over the Democratic Party. And
yes,
then we can break it apart as needed as we get the infrastructure in place. But we can't do it from without. We have to do it from within. And
the
it's
sheer
fight
the
the
sheer amount of
Democrats that we're winning.
money that they're spending on the propaganda to continue making people afraid of things like the word socialist. And Mamdani hits something he does that I think he carries over from his rap career is being able to strike a nerve with very few words. And he nails the message dead on bullseye in very few words. And one way that he did this was simply saying, you've spent more money in ads trying to beat me than I'm going to tax you. Why are you fighting this so hard to the point where you're talking about leaving New York? You're going to pull your businesses out of New York. You spent more money trying to convince people that this is a bad idea than you would have spent on the idea, on the
Yeah.
taxes themselves. And that he just crushed down the entire concept of democratic socialism versus corporatism in one sentence. You spend more money fighting the idea of a shared economy than the shared economy would cost you. So what's that about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's because it's always about preserving the system that benefits them only, and it's
Right.
never about us. It's always fear of socialism, fear of this, fear of that. We've been convinced we cannot have the basic nice things in this country like every other first world.
Right.
I don't want to self-censor on what socialism is. Like I hear in the chat, like, can we call it something less frightening than socialism? I I don't know what to call it. Like that's what it is. We like words mean things, and I'm going to use the right words. I'm not afraid to use that word because I'm not going to censor myself. And it's not my fault that somebody's afraid of a word. It's like
Yeah.
homophobia. Like the word homophobia. I hate that word because you can't like people who are homophobic or transphobic are afraid of a personal identity of somebody else that has nothing to do with themselves and is just meaningless. And because they're too dumb or too ignorant or too unwilling to learn anything, they have created a fear that we now have to acknowledge called homophobia and transphobia.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we have a socialism phobia in this country because we have manufactured it in the exact same way to other it, to make it scary. Well, then let's not make it, let's unscarify it because I'm not afraid of the word socialism, just like I'm not afraid of trans people. And they like their existence doesn't make me afraid to go
Yeah.
outside. Like I don't understand how you can be afraid that a trans people exist. Like it's the like we have socialism already. Like
Yeah.
let's instead of making people afraid of the word or or like find a new word that they're less afraid of. Maybe we should just make people let people acknowledge and put it out there enough that we already have socialism, just not for us. Like
Well,
you're
and
afraid of
the
it
ways
because
that
rich people tell you to be afraid of it, not because you don't deserve it.
the thing is, there are people that are on Social Security that swear blood vengeance on socialism.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
that's socialism. Social
okay. I mean,
Security
we
is
can get rid of
socialism.
that altogether if that's what you want, but you're going to
Yeah,
be
go back to
pretty
work and
a
die,
couple
I
months.
guess.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. So
that's
can
how I
we?
talk about it too. Is like, if without socialism, your other option is stay at work till you die.
Yeah, work
Like,
till you die.
you either work till you die or you get socialism. I want socialism because I
Yeah.
don't want to work till I die. Like,
And the
that
idea
sounds
we're
stupid.
taxes into the system, what is the system doing? Because if
Yeah.
you want any type of return from your taxes in the system, that is socialism. When that money comes back to you in the form of services, programs, and sometimes actual currency, that's socialism. That's the whole point. And you want Social Security and you want to be able to have your Medicare. Guess what?
Mhm.
That's what it is
Socialism.
in a nutshell. So I want
And
to talk about the food security,
yeah,
so that
and
we
I'm gonna
can get some
pull
dollars raised here.
yeah, we're gonna use the last couple minutes, and we'll probably stay over for a few minutes here, is I'm gonna first pull up a big QR code only because I have the image for it. Um, and the rest of them, I'm gonna put up QR codes here in the top left corner for all of our one at a time here. I'll slowly do them. Is for all of our Feeding America campaigns that we're working on. Melissa, as I pull up the big banner and backbone one, um, just so that we can hopefully start getting some donations here coming in, can you, since you're the one who really helped put this together for all of us, can you tell
Yeah.
everyone in the audience about what is going on and what Feeding America is and why we're so incredibly proud of everybody who is working with us
Okay.
and who has supported us so far in our efforts?
So I'm going to tell you my story with hunger, and I'll be brief, but this is why I started this fundraiser and why I am especially passionate about it. Um, in 2012, I finally left an abusive marriage. And it was after a particular incident where I realized that he was not going to stop until one day I was probably unalived. So I, I told him to get out or I'm calling the police, and he had an arrest record for that. So he did leave, and he took off. He took off for a year. We didn't know where he was, close to a year. And during that, I did not have child support from him. So I'd been working at a nonprofit, and I decided to move back to South Carolina to be closer to my kids' family, extended family. And so I got a job at a national nonprofit down in Charlotte. So I moved down, spent all my money to make the move down there. Worked at this nonprofit for a couple of months, and out of the clear, the grant that had been funding my position for 10 years, they'd received that grant. That funding was cut. So my job was immediately terminated. And I found myself in a state with very little, three young kids. They were 8, 6, and 4. And I did not have a job. And I also lived outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in a rural area. So Charlotte has a beltway around it. And if you live outside that beltway, you're off your transportation grid. There's no public transport, it's rural, like basically immediately. So we lived out in that rural area. And the only job that I could find anywhere remotely close to me was working at a Starbucks inside a Target for $8.05 an hour. That began some of the most painful months of my life, as I made sure my kids had food. When I talked to my kids about that period of time, they don't remember hunger, but I lost 80 pounds between August and December of that year because I was not eating so that my kids could eat. I would sometimes, at my job at Starbucks, sometimes I would steam cups of soy milk to have those calories during the day. I can talk at length about corporate food waste, as I was to throw all of our food at the end of it, watching it tumble, and when my stomach was totally empty. was a real mindfuck. And luckily, at the end of that year, I was able to get a job at a great nonprofit in Charlotte and got a salary again, and was able to get back on my feet. But it was virtually impossible to qualify for food stamps in South Carolina. Their requirements would have been like a second job for me to drive out to the office. You couldn't do anything over the phone or online at the time. You had to drive to the office 2 times a week. And so at that point, the gas to get to this rural office was more than the food stamps that they were going to offer me, which was $20 a week. So I went to bed hungry every single day, and there is nothing that really can describe that type of hunger. There's nothing. It's always on your mind. It's always in everything that you do. There's hunger. You begin to it definitely affects your cognitive thinking. You become sluggish, and it's hard to think. It's hard to process things. And there was a point there where I was like, if I can't get this together in the next couple of months, if I can't get a job, if I can't get my feet under me, I may have to look at my kids living with some other family until I can establish something, or I'm going to starve to death, quite frankly. And we're going to do a longer live stream on this. And I've got some where I attended a fund, and I have a picture of myself at that fundraise, have a picture of myself at Christmas, and it's shocking. And I have people on Facebook congratulating me for my weight loss. That's the reality of modern society. You lose a bunch of weight and everybody's like, wow, you look great. And I was starving, actually.
Yeah.
So that period of time was and I'd had other issues with hunger in my life. In fostering up, there was one foster care where we were given nothing to eat but sandwiches. To this day, I don't care for sandwiches because that's all we were allowed to eat. So I've had this in my life, 2 periods I've had hunger. Wish that on my, and it's a feeling that you can't. It's physical pain. And so when I found out about Feeding America, you talk about vetting organizations and solid. This is an absolutely rock solid organization that's been going for many years. They have over 600 food banks and over 2,000 food pantries across America. They are able to provide 10 meals for every dollar donated. So that is a remarkable return on investment to make sure people eat, that people don't go hungry.
Yeah. That's a huge return. And it really sucks that any of us ever have to go hungry. We live in the richest, wealthiest, most affluent country in the world, or at least we say. Yet we refuse to feed our citizens, and we refuse to care for those who need or even don't need it but could use it. Like, everyone deserves the opportunity to be fed. Everyone, not just me, not just Melissa, not just the wealthy, not just people who can't afford it, who need these benefits, but we all deserve it. We all deserve food, and we shouldn't have to do things like this, but we do anyway because they're the right thing to do. And we would want this done for us. Like, I want to be fed, so I want other people to be fed too. And so to me, this is a huge thing, and I just want to shout out in the best way possible the fact that we have made some incredible donation amounts from all of our pages so far, from our entire team. Melissa has set a team goal for us, and I'll list out some of the team participants too. Is we're part of an overall team called Substack Scribes, and we have a team goal of $20,000 raised, which would be $200,000 in or 200,000 meals for $20,000. That's an incredible amount. We're currently at almost $8,000 between
Yeah, I think we're
those.
going to have to raise our goal.
I think so too. I keep having to
Yeah.
double mine.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, I started on my Sick of This Shit publication, my main channel, where I do my other work, and I donated 200, and then I challenged everybody to help me get the $500 goal. And we were at $1,000 before I even knew it, and now we're almost at 2,300 on the Sick of This Shit side. Banner and Backbone is at 75 right now. So anybody, please scan either the big QR code for Banner and Backbone on the screen, or the small one for Centered America in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to then switch this over here so you can see it on the screen too for anybody. The next one is now the Counterstory Media Feeding America QR code in the top left corner. Watch this on the replay. You can, and we'll make sure that all of these links are also in our show notes too. So if you want to donate to one, it doesn't matter. We're competing against each other in the best way possible. While I was on the show this morning with Dana and Lawrence on Gen Xy for their morning show, an incredible friend of the show donated like $1,000 during the show, just because they wanted to help Dana and Lawrence pull ahead of my donation amounts on the Sick of This Shit side. And they donated a boatload of money, which is fantastic. I'm so friggin' excited of that. Like, I would love for Banner and Backbone to then match that and beat it. Like, I'd love for Banner and Backbone to be in that running too, because then all of us are helping as much as we can. So I want to see if we can hit that 20,000 goal. And really, I want us to beat the other platforms overall. I want Substackers to donate more than any of the other social media platforms. I want it to be a challenge on see which social media platforms can donate the most. And I want Substack to be at the top. So Banner and Backbone is going to help lead that charge as best we can. So help donate to us today. And donate to others in our team too. So our team consists of, and was started by Melissa Corrigan and Counterstory Media, who we have our QR code up in the top corner. I do not have QR codes for everybody. I'm sorry. I do for most, but not all, but not for all. Now we've got QR code in the top left corner for Centered America, who is another one of the teams with us, who also help co-host this platform. And co-host this show with us on normal days. They're out today. They're doing some traveling, so they will be back with us. They will be back with us next week. We also have my channel, Sick of This Shit Publications, and my Feeding America group QR code. We have with us in the chat, Opinionated Ogre is part of our group, and the Substack Scribes organization. We have Walter Ryan. We have Stephanie Wilson and Freedom Over Fascism. We have Blue Amp Media with Cliff Schechter. We have the Conscientious Emigrant. And obviously we have our good friends Lawrence and Dana with Gen Xy. And our team is going to raise a lot because of everybody like you. Everybody in the audience who's watching and who's willing to donate with us and donate over and over again. Our international friends who are helping too. Like, you guys are amazing. Yeah, Shane Urich is part of the Banner and Backbone family. I don't know if he has a specific one for the Firebrand project right now, but if he doesn't, he can get added in, and he's
working on it. He bungled the registration a little bit, but we're working on getting it squared away.
But the Urichs overall, Shane's family, have donated and have helped already and have given back. And it's amazing to see this community that everybody is creating around us and with us. And democracy is really just an extension of community. If you want to think about it on a simple way, it's a community coming together and saying, we want this for us. And so
we're all looking for ways to pull away from like corporate spending this holiday season. And I think it's a great idea that if you're deciding to pull away from just random gift giving, getting somebody in your office a thing, a widget, whatever, then give them a donation. Say, hey, I made a donation in your name to Feeding America, and there you go. It covers the gift aspect, and you to participate in this great fun.
Yeah. And if you have a small business, or you're part of a larger media group and you're with us, or people in larger media groups who you think should donate to us or could donate to us, ask them to, tell them to, tag us on things. Ellie, yeah, amazing. Ellie Leonard is all in on this as well and doing amazing work, and helping and supporting. The Ogre Nation is doing an incredible job. Ogre is saying that they're in our chat that they're over halfway to their $2,000 goal. I am, for sick of this shit. I had to double my goal again. So we're sitting just under $2,300 on our way to our $4,000 goal. So please help donate with Sick of This Shit Publications too. Again, all the links, including Ogres and the rest of the Substack Scribe team, will be linked in the show notes, so everybody can have their stuff blasted out and shared. So do not worry, you will get all the QR codes. Everyone will. And it's really important. It also makes you feel good. Like, to be totally honest, it just makes you feel good to donate and give back. You get a little dopamine hit, and it's okay to admit that you like it. Like, I want people to just remember, it's okay to admit that you like that dopamine hit, because it feels good, and you want to do it again, and you will. And part of that doing it again could be donating, monetarily, could be donating through time, could be helping organize some of the things going on in the background that are building up the networks and the platforms that we're working on.
Yep.
There are plenty of folks in the chat that I know and that I work with behind the scenes who aren't even named affiliations in any way with all the work that we're doing and the friends that we have, and yet they're doing it anyway, and they're helping, and they're eventually going to get all of the credit for what they have done and for all of the support and efforts that they are putting in. And so, like, y'all, it's important. It's important because you're being part of it too, and we can't do it without you. So we've held everyone a little bit longer because it was really important to today.
I was about to
And
say,
we started a
hop
little
off
bit.
to a meeting.
Yeah. And so, Melissa, sell yourself real quick before we go.
Oh yes, please support. Like I did an impromptu live this morning on updates to my work with Refuse Fascism. I always shoot for transparency above all. I believe if you can't trust what I say, what's the whole point anyway? So anytime I get information like that, I go directly with you for transparency's sake. So that's my goal in this new media world, is to be a voice of truth. And even when it means I have to say I got to backtrack on something, then I'm going to do that. So paid subs, always welcome. Help fund trips to DC, help fund some of the other projects I'm working on behind the scenes, and mostly to just keep up on the work we're all doing here to share the truth with you in this age of media blackout, it feels like.
Yeah. Purposeful media blackout too, in a lot of ways. Sorry while I seem maybe a little distracted in the background, but I want to is, let me get switched over, is one, make sure to please become a subscriber with Melissa. Paid, free, all of the support helps. And the work that she's doing to have transparency and honesty and value and truth behind her name and living up to that is super important. Like, it is so valuable that Melissa is willing to accept if she's wrong on something and fix it, and that I'm willing to accept if I'm wrong on something and fix it. And we want to make sure you guys are in the know and have all the right information, especially around groups like what happened
Yes.
possibly with refuse fascism and the Revolutionary Communist Party, and how we do not want to accidentally associate any of us or you in this process of saving our democracy with possibly a terrorist organization or groups that promote fairly violent activities in ways, or can be. And so that's not who we are. And I know that's not Melissa, and she's incredible about it. So go support her work. Help us make
I'm
her a
gonna.
full time on the ground reporter.
Oh, please. All right, I'm gonna hop off and get to my meeting. Thank you
Sounds great.
so much, Nick, and I will see
Thanks,
you next
Melissa.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to close out our show here with the last of our links. Come support me over at Sick of This Shit Publications outside of this. And I'm running a 50% off sale there. It's where I do a lot of my chronic illness discussions, more of my masculinity talks, things like that. A little bit of my less political side at times, though it tends to be kind of political. You all know me. And so come support me there. Love the free and paid subs. They all help along the way. And then for the network itself, I have two that I'm going to make sure that I shout out in all the best ways. Is please support our friends at Centered America. They are helping bring this show together with us. They are a main part of this conversation. They're helping us pull the Overton window back into a place of existence where real values are the center of our discussion and not these fake right-wing bullshit values and fascism. And we work really well and closely with the Centered America guys. You guys trust them. You love them. We trust them. They're doing incredible work in helping us actually do organizing and donations. And they've been a big help and a big part of our effort in Feeding America so far. So please get back to them and join their work. Finally, come support Banner and Backbone. Come support the network itself as we grow. That way we can put on more shows like this, more shows like a new one coming out with Shane and Melissa here soon, which is going to be super exciting to see. Vet Talks with Shane and Melissa, other thing, or myself and Melissa, Palin Talks with me and Shane. Come support our network as we grow, build out some new projects. We have a ton of exciting stuff that we're working on in the background to try and support all of the independent creators we can and boost our community and make it into a much larger and more powerful one. So stay tuned as we keep working on things in the background to get the gears in motion and make it so that you all have a voice, and that somebody's listening, responding, and actually caring. And then again, close out the show with our final request is donate to Feeding America, to the Banner and Backbone campaign on the team. Help us get into the running for the most raised for the Substack Scribes. Doesn't matter who wins because we all win with this one. Nobody loses when you donate on this one. We all win. It all goes back to families. For every dollar, it's 10 meals. Or more. So please scan the QR code. Thank you to whoever just scanned it for us, and the donation that's probably going to be coming in here in a few minutes. Like Banner and Backbone is trying to help feed American families too, and give back where we say that we want to, which is where we put words to action, and we're doing what you guys have asked and what everybody else has asked is we need food, we need help. And so we're going to do it. So thank you, everyone. This has been our first rebranding of our series with the Centered America folks. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it today traveling, but we'll be back next week for a regularly scheduled showing at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central for the window of discussion. And I'm Nick Perro. This is Banner and Backbone. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you, everyone in the Substack chat. Thank you, everyone on Twitch and YouTube who have joined us today. Amazing crowd, as always. Talk to y'all later. Thanks.